Sugar beets are the first crop planted in the spring and flourish in the rich soils found near river and lake beds in the temperate climate across northern tier states. Small pelleted seeds are planted about 4 inches apart, 20 to 60 rows at a time, with nearly 60,000 seeds sowed per acre. As beets grow during the summer, growers manage the crop to eliminate weeds and minimize disease. In the fall, once each beet has reached about 3 to 5 pounds, the harvest begins. The lush green leaves are removed from the plant and the large white roots are lifted from the soil. Loose soil is removed from the beets and the roots are loaded into trucks for delivery to receiving stations. Beets are placed into 18 to 25 foot high piles, which can be up to 300 feet wide and up to a quarter mile long. These sugar beets can be stored for up to 6 months before being processed at a nearby factory. During the storage process, ventilation tubes are placed under some piles in order to cool or freeze the beets to ensure they do not spoil while they are waiting to be processed. Beets are removed from the storage piles with large front-end loaders and introduced into the factory process. Sucrose is naturally abundant in the beet, with up to 20% of the root being sugar. Through a series of separation steps, the sugar is extracted from the root. As the sugar beets are floated into the factories by way of a fluming system, rocks and additional topsoil are removed. Next, these beets are washed prior to being sliced into long shoestring potato-like pieces called cassettes that expose the cell structure, allowing the sucrose to be diffused out of the fiber, creating raw juice. The diffusion process occurs in a 100-foot tower where hot water passes over the cassettes to remove the sugar. Once the sugar or sucrose is removed, the remaining fiber is pressed, dried, and pelletized so it can be sold as a high-value animal feed. This raw juice has impurities that will be removed through carbonation and filtration. Limestone is mixed with foundry-type coke and then superheated in a kiln to create milk of lime and carbon dioxide. This is then mixed with the raw juice to react and precipitate impurities. After the initial purification, the juice continues through filters and into a series of evaporators for concentration. Inside vacuum pans, during the next step, the liquid boils and gets thicker, much like maple syrup. Once the mixture reaches the proper saturation, it is seeded with microscopic sugar crystals, which are boiled until they reach the right size. Then they're ready to be spun out in high-speed centrifugals. The thick crystal and syrup mixture is added to centrifugals, which spin at 1200 revolutions per minute, which quickly separates the pure white sugar crystals from the molasses. Damp sugar crystals are then moved to the dryer, where filtered warm air dries the sugar. Then the sugar is cooled and conditioned before being stored in the silos prior to shipment to customers. Sugar is sent in bulk to food manufacturing customers in rail cars or trucks. It is also packaged in 50 and 100-pound bags, as well as 1-ton super sacks for certain customers. Bags of 2, 4, 5, and 10 pounds are packaged for grocery stores. Over 50% of all domestic sugar in the United States comes from sugar beets. Beet sugar facilities run around the clock 7 days a week during the processing season. Once a sugar beet enters the factory, it takes approximately 12 hours before the sugar is extracted. No bleaching or chemical whitening is used during the process. Pure and natural white sugar is an essential ingredient to many of the foods consumed daily throughout the United States.